fellow nerds, and welcome to Two Nerds vs. the Internet. My name is Andrew, and I am the resident nerd and host. Tag along each week as I am joined by a fellow nerd as we discuss and debate a wide variety of topics across several different fandoms, giving our points of view on why it's the best and why you should agree with us. With that, let me introduce my guest for this episode, Matthew. Welcome, Matthew. How you doing today, buddy?
Oh, I'm having a great day. I'm very excited to be here.
You're very excited to be here. Yeah. Okay, well, hey, let's go right into it. Today's topic, D&D. That's what it's known by. Everyone calls it that. But what's the actual name of it?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. Now, point of contingent, is it D and D or D-N-D?
See, I'm a letters guy.
You're a D&D guy?
D&D, and I'll tell you why.
Tell me.
It's because not only do I play and experience Dungeons and Dragons in the, say, role-playing environment, book, pen, paper, tabletop, but also playing their MMORPG online, Dungeons and Dragons Online, which is abbreviated as D&D, not D and D.
Hey, and that's okay. I've kind of always seen both. Most people see it as both. Obviously, if it's printed on an official Dungeons & Dragons book, it's going to be D and D, and especially with 5th edition, it's got the really fun
I was literally just going to say that if you look at the 5th edition books, the and is super cool.
It's really cool.
I am
Looks
definitely
like a dragon, so it all makes sense. It all ties together. All right, well, cool. Dungeons & Dragons. Here's something for you. Been around since 1974. Did you know that?
I did know that because I know it's older than me.
Well, Matthew, I think most things are older than you and I that we discuss on this podcast. So
it's very fair. But this one I didn't know. It's been along for a really long time.
It has. And who is the creator of Dungeons and Dragons?
Dungeon.
Nope.
Dragon?
Nope. Come on, buddy. Gary Gygax.
Gary Gygax.
You don't know Gary Gygax's name and you're going to call yourself a Dungeons and Dragons fan?
I call myself a Dungeons and Dragons enjoyer.
Enjoyer. Oh, well,
Enthusiast.
That's the show. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Have a great day. No, I'm messing with you. See, this is the whole nerds thing. I'm the nerd who knows these little details.
You're like a super nerd. I can't do people. I can't name who sings songs, what actors played movies, who came up with what game. It's not my forte.
Well, then, let's just talk about D&D then. Something you do know. How did you get into D&D?
I got into D&D actually because of my father.
Because of your father. Interesting.
Yep, who definitely would have been playing it pen, paper when it first came out, obviously because he's older than I am.
Probably pencil. You know, those original nerds, they did it all in pencil, not pen.
Definitely pencil and paper. So I actually got into it because of him.
Okay.
He also shares some similar, I'll say, nerd-like hobbies. And I was up staying too late one night as a wee child, and I come downstairs to get a snack, because that's what kids do when they're up too late.
Sure.
And I see my dad at the computer. I was like, what's Dad doing? He was actually playing Dungeons & Dragons online.
Wow.
Their online game.
The online game as in the video game?
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. As in the video game, this was like way before COVID and all your online tools and platforms really blew up to assist the pen and paper version online. This is the actual Dungeons & Dragons online video game.
Tell me, and those listening, what's a close, approximate, similar type game? World of Warcraft, League of Legends?
I would say it's World of Warcraft / Skyrim-esque.
Okay.
It's a progressional-based game, so similar to pen and paper. And I know we'll probably get into this later too.
Sure.
But you pick your class. You start at level 1. You do quests. You slay monsters. You do dungeons. You do dragons.
Wow.
You get experience. You level up. You get to spend enhancement points to beef up your character and their select roles. You get your same feats, same stats, and everything.
Nice.
It's just you can play it single player, multiplayer, co-op, parties up to 12 for raid nights.
Party of 12. Oh my god. That would murder me. As someone who has been a DM before, or dungeon master, game master, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
God, I can't manage.
But it's also
that.
like a rogue light because when you reach level 20, you can do a heroic reincarnation, a racial reincarnation, or you can keep going into epic levels and versions of the game, which enhance your character even further, new quests, new adventures, new gear, and then you can epic reincarnate as well. Okay. So as you do these different reincarnations, you get passive bonuses to your character.
That sounds fun. Sounds like you've hit level 20 in this before.
I have more than 100 past lives on my character.
More than 100. All right, that's plenty of time playing D&D online. Certified nerd right here.
Certified nerd. Let me tell you, it takes me probably a few months to get to level 20. So that tells you how much time. And like I said, I was a wee lad just looking for a snack, and I ended up finding a lifelong video game hobby.
So you started with the D&D online game, it sounds like.
I did.
Okay, when did you play the actual pen and paper for the first time?
I first played that in high school.
In high school.
Oh.
Okay, so from wee lad of like 5, 6 years old.
Right.
To, 14, 15 years old.
Correct. So I kind of grew up in that video game-esque version of Dungeons and Dragons, which a lot of the same skills, feats, characters, classes, things you would do in pen and paper are built into the online game.
Okay.
So that's what got me interested in trying to do it online. It's like, well, this is something I enjoy behind the screen. What's it like in real life?
Right. And to you, what was it like in real life?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle, and I like solving puzzles. That's why I'm an engineer. It's why I'm a nerd. It's kind of that role playing. It's different every time.
Yep.
And that's what I really like about it. If you get the right group of people, it's just the best.
I agree. It takes the right group of people. I've played in a couple different games where it wasn't quite the right group of people, and it just changes the experience completely.
Right. But if you get people that are really into it, it's super fun. Not trying to outmind the DM, like the druid who's going to fly 60 feet up in the air and then transform into a whale, and try to crush anything that it can land under,
That just sounds like a good time at a typical Tuesday night for a good nerd,
Well, yeah, it depends. Like, well, I'm going to become a gnat and fly into someone's mouth and then turn back into myself, and they're going to, explode.
Of course.
Yeah.
Why not? Sounds good to me.
Well, it just depends how many bonus actions you use.
So we're obviously talking about some pretty intense things here, but do you know what the original options were for D&D?
As far as class-wise?
As far as class.
Oh, I want to say it was like not even, well, sort of close to what we have today. Like fighter, barbarian, like warrior, mage, maybe not even as specific as like sorcerer or wizard. It was pretty bare bones.
It was indeed. If I remember correctly from what I was reading earlier, your options, found it here. Fighting man, magic user, and cleric. That was your options of class in the original Dungeons and Dragons in 1974.
That's just crazy.
That was it.
But
Fighting man, magic user, and cleric.
That was like revolutionary.
And it was.
When it first came out.
That was the cool thing about D&D is Gary Gygax and his friends. I think there was another person who's attributed, Dave Arneson. Apologize if I'm saying the name wrong. They are the ones who are considered the fathers of D&D. And it didn't come around as just they sat down and wanted to play D&D and they made it happen. And even though my favorite story of how D&D came to be isn't true, which I'm going to share in a moment, these guys were playing other strategy war games that are similar to Warhammer, if you know what that is.
Yep.
I've personally never played Warhammer, but I know enough about it to be able to say what they were playing is an early version of Warhammer.
I'm surprised you never played Warhammer. Superman plays Warhammer. Superman
does play Warhammer. But it's the tabletop version of these epic wars, and it's kind of like Risk on steroids.
I was going to say, it's what it was like a super Risk. It was pretty much all you had. And all early adaptations of this sort of style of game were all those war-based tabletop games.
And it was not just you had one person, it was you had an army. So it was your army versus someone else's army. And you had all the different miniatures that you had to like set up in your army just correctly, and you ward out who's going to win for a certain area, and that's kind of a cool concept.
Nerds.
Big nerds. But they took it from there, and them and some other guys kind of built on this concept of, well, what if I controlled one person? Well, what if I started to change it, and from it being cowboys and Indians, or Napoleon versus the Russians, or whatever other version of a war they could come up with, maybe even the Nazis versus the Allies. They started saying, well, what if we did more fantasy stuff? What if we did more medieval stuff? Okay, that's fine. You've got your soldiers and my soldiers versus each other. Cool. And then you get to a point where it is now, well, what if I had my one hero who could come out and save the day? And let me build that one character. Let me come up with a concept for how they existed. And that's kind of where D&D came to be. They sat down and came up with this idea of, I want one character that I want to run with, not let me have an army to run with.
Right. And this was like the first big breakout project like this. Like you said, it was all masses, control the masses, where it's
Exactly.
no, it's me, I'm the player.
Exactly. That was the big difference. This is considered the first role-playing game. And it is honestly the reason that we have so many great board games, video games, and tabletop games. And I say tabletop as a separate from board game because, in my opinion, a board game is not one that just has a board. There's plenty of different types of games that have boards, some don't. But a tabletop game is more this pen and paper style, like what D&D started. And there are hundreds of different options, if not thousands, of different ways you can play D&D and all the different versions that exist today.
Right. That's what's so great about it. Not just the versions between, you can just pick up a 5e book, get a group of friends, and play a pre-built story. But then you get to the really creative and fun side of it where, maybe you want to set your setting in a war.
Right.
You want to do Napoleon and
Sure.
play it that way. You can absolutely set it that way.
Can I be Napoleon?
Sure.
I'm
I think
a little
you're too
tall.
Yeah. You're
I'm not
working on
very
the
French.
the mustache is starting to
I'm growing that out,
it's
make it
giving me
big.
Napoleon vibes, but that's what's really been neat about D&D is because it's so adaptable and it's the story you create and want to play, it can attract a whole different group of people.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just the fantasy, like we're saying, and goes beyond just the traditional war. There's versions of what we'll call D&D out today where you could be a steampunk person, or you could be a cyberpunk person, or heck, you could be Spider-Man, or maybe your own version of a mutant, or your own version of a superhero in some kind of nondescript superhero world. Heck, have you heard of the board game Root?
Yes.
There is an RPG for you to be able to be one of the woodland creatures that are in the world of Roots and get to go on adventures as one of those woodland creatures. Now, you're probably looking at me going, yeah, okay, well, you can do that in D&D. Yes, you can. And it's basically the same thing, but it's their own version. It's their own story. It's their own game. I mean, even look at the Disney and Pixar movie Onward.
Oh, yeah. Very similar.
Based on D&D, because it's the Quests of Yore in theirs,
Yep.
which is fun. They've released a Quests of Yore game that has its own set of rules. It has its own set of characters. It has its own set of classes and everything. It's based on D&D. It may not be exactly like it, but if you've played one pen and paper tabletop RPG, you can pretty well pick up another one.
Yeah. Not just pen and paper RPG, like you said, it's expanded between games, books, movies, films.
Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
look at like Baldur's Gate.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
The influence that D&D has had on pop culture today, and a lot of people don't even realize that. I mean, the ones who are in the know understand where all of these different references come from, but to your point, Baldur's Gate is a video game series that has come out of D&D being just one random city that one random guy decided to write about that one time, and it's huge.
Huge, massive, and it just keeps getting bigger. And
It
that's
does.
why I put hundreds of hours into the game, is because I'm like, oh, in my mind, it's just D&D.
Yeah, that's all it is.
It's D&D, and it's really solo player,
It's
which
a
is how I prefer to
digestible
play
solo
it.
player.
Anyway, if I'm playing the video game version of the game, I prefer to play it solo myself. And
Me too.
Baldur's Gate's like, oh, great, I can play it solo by myself with 3 other characters.
Right, right.
It's fantastic.
And so, it's amazing what they came up with. Now, for my version, and I can't claim my version because I'm the one who came up with this. I swear I heard this once, and I believed it for years and years before I heard the true story. The story I knew of how D&D came to be was that Gary Gygax was telling bedtime stories to his kids of the classic princess in the tower and the hero trying to save the day, trying to slay the dragon to catch the princess, because he was one who liked that high fantasy story stuff. But he wanted some way to make it a little bit more interactive for his kids. He wanted a way for it to be not just me telling the story, but me giving my kids options of how to participate in the story. And of course, a kid's going to be like, I slay the dragon with my toothpick.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the cool way to win the game. But he started to come up with these different ways of like, oh, let's roll a dice. And it couldn't just be a 6-sided die or a d6. It had to have something with a little bit more numbers to it. And so he developed the d20. And all this happened. And again, that's the version I heard.
I really like that version because I grew up listening to bedtime stories about dinosaurs snowmobiling.
That sounds
Because
fantastic.
I'm from the north. slaying dragons would have been really cool. But
Right.
dinosaurs are kind of like mythical creatures.
Yeah,
So
I mean, they're basically the same thing.
yeah,
But yeah, I always heard that story, and I thought it was just the coolest
it's very
way.
wholesome.
Right. It's kind of like oh, you know what? That's really cool. And it kind of makes me go, maybe one day if I have kids, I could tell them bedtime stories like this and have them play out the fantasy adventure with me and get them into D&D without them knowing they're getting into D&D.
Until they're failing their saving throws and crying as you smite them.
Okay, well, that's where you become a nice dad and game master and just go, oh, you just missed. Try again.
Try again. Bonus action. You can do it over.
So that's the version I thought was kind of fun. Obviously, it's not the real version. It's a good story. So we've mentioned 5th edition.
Oh yeah.
So are there only 5 editions of D&D?
No.
How many of D&D can you name?
More than 5.
How many? Go
Because
for it.
there's like 5.5.
Technically,
Technically.
6.5. Because
Well, I meant 5.5 as one of the options.
No. I'm with you. So there's 6.5 as far as I can tell. Okay, there's Dungeons and Dragons, the original version in 1974. Then there's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which is pretty well where it actually kind of really got its start, and that came out in 1977. And what I was reading, doing some background research for all this, is the 1974 version kind of depended upon you having other war games to be able to help you guide your characters through the world and all sorts of stuff.
It's like an expansion pack you needed.
Yeah, you had to have
You
these
need
other
the
games.
DLC.
You had to buy the DLCs before you could even play the base
So
game.
ahead of their marketing.
So it was kind of a problem because they're like, well, crap, we want people to play, but maybe not everyone has access to all these other games yet. So they rebranded it as Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And at that time, they came up with something that has been what I would consider a staple for D&D ever since. The 3 core rule books. If you had those 3 books, you can play the game no problem. You could get by without 2 of them. You needed at least the core rule book, which tells you how to build a character, what your character is able to do, all sorts of different things. And it wasn't a very big book. But then you also had... what?
Double Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
No,
I'm just
the
kidding.
monster
You had the
manual and the...
That's what I was going to say.
the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Right.
Right. So the monster manual having all the different monsters that they've pre-created that you could drop into your thing pretty easily, telling you how much health each thing had, what kind of attacks it would have. And then your Dungeon Master Guide saying, okay, when you're the Dungeon Master, here's different ways to handle different situations. Here's different settings you can use. Here's different equipment you can throw in your game to make it a little more fleshed out of a world.
Which, fun fact, I have never been a Dungeon Master.
Don't do it.
I don't wanna do
it.
it.
Almost ruins the game for me sometimes.
Like I said earlier, I like solving puzzles. You know, I don't
wanna
want to be the
wanna be the
orchestrator,
puzzle maker?
the man behind the curtain. No, I want to see if I can pass my my deception check. If I can pick that pocket.
There you go.
know?
There you go.
I want to be in the action.
There you go. So Advanced D&D comes out, and it blows up in success even more so than what the D&D version was. There are a couple things from Advanced D&D that definitely do not exist today in the way that Dungeons and Dragons is done. And I think the most complicated one, and I'm going to step on someone's toes because someone out here listening to this knows exactly how this works. But who thought THAC0 was a good system?
Terrible system. Terrible.
Terrible. 2-hit armor class 0. And I've had conversations with people who played D&D in that version or know that version of D&D. And those calculations in to hit armor class 0, it's in the back of their head, no problem. THAC0's an easy thing. They can figure it out.
I can't figure it out.
I've had people explain it to me over and over again, and I still honestly couldn't tell you what it means.
We're both engineers and we can't figure this out.
Right. That tells you how complicated it is. Compared to whatever they modernized it to with just an armor class. Your armor class is the number that the person attacking you has to beat.
I'm really good at greater than less than.
Greater than, less than. That's all it is. There's no crazy combinations of, okay, well, this armor is making your armor class go up to this level, and then but why 0? Why is 0 the baseline?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. I don't
But
get
it's
it.
very frustrating nowadays too, because like, oh, armor class 14, have to roll 15 or higher.
Well,
and you just can't roll that darn 15.
it doesn't have to be a 15 or higher if you're doing things right and you've got a big weapon and you're swinging quell and you get all these spells on you and you min-max a little
You
bit.
could debuff, you could buff.
Right.
There's different ways around
There's
it. But
ways.
man, that's definitely the most frustrating thing about Dungeons and Dragons is, great, I rolled, I hit, I'm rolling damage, and it is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And you're just like, oh.
Orange Jesus isn't with you on that day, is he?
And then you take a double strike crit back, and you're just like, man, this is tough.
Yep. And you almost die. You're on your second death roll, like, oh, this isn't good.
Yeah, it's not good.
And you're
But
laying there
sometimes
dead.
you can get some real cool stuff out of it. Like my last campaign, I did die.
Yeah.
Totally died.
Mm-hmm.
Critical failure,
Oof.
death saving throw.
Ooh.
Wizard, we all started with some magic items,
Mm-hmm.
which you could find on Dungeons & Dragons website, their 5e website. They have a list of all items.
Sure.
And he ended up trying to revive me with his magic item. Which Jadima was like, this is crazy.
Of course.
Like, I didn't think about this.
Of course.
So he's like, all right. He had to pass 3 different rolls of increasing on a D100. And
3 rolls on a D100.
he had to pass 3. Yep.
Okay.
He had to be above 50, 75, and then 95.
Had to beat a 95?
Yeah. Well, I died. I was
Well,
that
okay,
was
that's
super
fair.
critical failure, super dead.
Super dead. Not
Super
just dead.
dead.
Super dead.
Yeah. And he got it. He
impressive.
beat the 95, and it was the craziest moment ever. We were all super excited.
Yep.
And like I said, if you get that great DM that
Yep.
you're able to roll with it and make it happen and work with the players, it just makes the experience so crazy for everyone.
100%.
And it was so crazy because I was a paladin. Like I died and got to meet my deity,
Wow.
and then go back on my holy quest with this other added information.
That's
since
really
since
cool.
I got to see my deity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but man, was that frustrating. Critical 1, death saving throw. Like, oh.
That is frustrating. But you kind of touched on something there that I wanted to talk about. Obviously, we've talked about the good that came out of D&D coming around. It was hailed as the best new thing coming out. Nerds everywhere loved it. It spawned all these memes that we have today. But there is the darker side to D&D, I'll call it, where there's a lot of people out there who believe if you're playing D&D, you are trying to actually summon demons. You are trying to
This was
actually
like
cast magic.
a big scare.
It was.
Back in, what was it, the 80s or 90s?
Early 80s. This was a huge problem.
And I believe, so I read about this semi-recently, before planning on talking about this on your podcast, but there was a kid, I believe in high school, who was, playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then I want to say ended up committing suicide.
Oh, no.
And the consensus of the people and thought was because he was playing this game and interacting with demons and the devil, that's why he ended up taking his own life. Completely
unfortunate.
unrelated series of events.
Yeah,
But
still
that's
an
why
unfortunate
I
series.
got a really bad stigma in the
Yep.
80s, which if you look at, here's a modern day reference, Stranger Things,
Mm-hmm.
they play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
They are probably Hellfire Club.
Yep.
Hell, fire, Dungeons, Dragons, demons, bad.
Oh, yeah.
And they're seen as their outcasts in their own light for that as well.
Of course. Of course. And it's interesting to me because with every new thing that kind of comes out that's this big new thing. I mean, look at Grand Theft Auto. For the longest time,
Crazy.
people are associating gun violence and whatever issues were happening around the world with younger adults with violent video games like this.
Yeah, they're like, oh, auto theft is up 89% since GTA 5 dropped.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you be stealing nice cars if you... I'm kidding. I'm not suggesting
No,
go and
I can
steal
honestly
cars.
say I've never played GTA, so
They're fine. They're fine.
I don't get the open world hype. It's just, I need some direction.
That's fair. I mean, there is a story, but that's fair. Little off topic here, but that's okay. But yeah, it's interesting to me how every so often it comes back up. D&D is for the devil. D&D is teaching your children evil things. D&D is making Wiccan of your kids. And it's like, no, your kid's a nerd who's sitting in a room with a bunch of other smelly nerds, usually. Stereotype.
Trying to decide if he can cast Fireball if the room is big enough.
Right.
That's the biggest
And
dilemma.
He's sitting there doing the math, and he's going, "Oh God, I'm about to kill everyone in my party. This is not going to be good. But I've got to get the Demigorgon. I got to get him.
I gotta get him. They got some sick loot, baby.
He can see that chest off in the background, hoping it's not a mimic. He can see the chest going, okay, well, if I kill the Demogorgon, we can go and get the chest and hope that there's like a 10,000 gold in it and we can just end happy as kings in our world.
It is crazy. There's like that bad stigma still about it. It's like, I gotta like whisper, I'm like, oh, I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, it's not even that. When the D&D movie was coming out, The Honor Among Thieves,
Yeah.
I got super hyped.
Me too.
Because that looked really, really good.
I saw the mimic in the trailer and I was like, this is exactly what I wanted to see.
It looked like it was going to give fans exactly what they wanted from D&D. And I told Annie, I was like, we've got to go see this movie. And she's like, I don't like D&D. I don't want to watch a D&D movie. I said, no. Time out. You liked Guardians of the Galaxy? She said, yeah. I said, boom. That's what this is.
Boom.
She's like, yeah, okay, sure. I said, no. It's Lord of the Rings meets Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a ragtag group of people on an adventure. They have their quest. They're going from one place to another. It's set in space. It's set in a medieval time with people who can cast magical spells and wield awesome weapons. And she's like, okay. And we came out of the movie. She's like, all right, that was better than I expected.
Definitely better than I expected.
Hands down, way better than I expected. I had to go out and see it again with some other guys. I was like, guys, y'all got to see this movie. And they're like, you've already seen it. I was like, don't care. We're going.
Really
Let's go see it.
Yeah, that was my same reaction when I saw it was out on a streaming service. I was like, oh my gosh, I can watch this again.
Right.
I did it exactly that night.
We watched it the other night, not too long ago, and Annie was like, okay, that's a lot better movie than I remember. I'm like, yeah, exactly. This is a good movie. And it's based on D&D, but that doesn't mean you are having to sit there and do the role-playing part.
Side note.
Yeah?
D&D movie. Who are the NPCs in a movie?
That's a good question. What's your thought here?
I think they're all NPCs.
You think they're all NPCs?
And it's like we're the DM, and they're just there. They're just living their NPC life. It's like if we didn't interact with them, this is what they decided to do. It's kind of like AI. It's like an AI-generated game of Dungeons and Dragons.
Interesting, where the computer, the AI, is playing its own game of D&D against itself.
Yep.
That's an interesting concept. I like it. I like it a lot. That's really cool.
Yeah. Kind of some philosophy for you.
So what other mediums has D&D touched? We've obviously talked about video games.
Yep.
We've talked about the tabletop and everything there. Movie.
Yep.
What other ones can you think of or have enjoyed in some form or fashion? I've got 2 in this room alone.
I gotta look around in my room. Oh, you have a lot of books on your wall.
I do have a lot of books.
Books.
There are books. There's mountains of D&D books.
I'm gonna hit you with another thoughtful one. Song. Because bards sing songs, and there are songs in the world.
That's true.
So D&D could have an impact on that. Look at like Lord of the Rings music. Could have been Dungeons and Dragons inspired, and they got some epic songs. But I'll say other games.
Other games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like just games in general. The general, hey, this is a fantasy game. D&D's had an impact?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I also have a board game that's based on D&D.
Sounds like a game.
It's a game. I was trying to find it while we're sitting here, and I can't see it anywhere. It's called Lords of Waterdeep. It's a really fun resource collection game. It's probably like directly behind me, and I'm not going to be able to reach it from here to be able to see it. And it wouldn't even matter. The people online listening to this aren't going to be able to see it anyways.
But they can look it up and get it 20% off with code Andrew on Amazon.
Nope, there is no code. Sorry, guys. I'm not there yet. But Lords of Waterdeep's a pretty cool board game that Annie likes because it's a resource collection game. You are a character, but you don't have to necessarily play the role, and you're trying to get different resources in the forms of currency, as well as different like characters for you, like a fighter, a warrior, a mage, a thief, those kinds of things in your party to go and complete a quest for you. Your quest will say, okay, you need this number of this many blocks, and each of those blocks represents whatever character type. So you're trying to collect those and have them, and you have to do that by moving your main person token from spot to spot across the board to collect the resources on your turn. And she likes those kinds of games, and
that is sort of D&D-esque. As you were kind of describing that and talking about that, it reminded me thinking about playing Ankh.
Ankh.
Because you are a playable character set in this fantasy world. And obviously, it's turn-based, so
Sure.
it's not like it's open world, not like you're interacting, but each characters have different strengths. You're sort of going on different quests. You have the same goals in the world.
Right.
And leveling your characters up.
Yep.
You spend your resources right, you do the right things,
Yep.
win the right combats. It's the same sort of thing.
It is amazing when you stop to look at how vast of an impact on all sorts of different games D&D has had. Not just the video games, like we're talking about board games.
Oh, yeah.
It boggles my mind sometimes at just the impact it's had. And it's wonderful because of that. Now, D&D itself isn't going to be for everyone because not everyone wants to play the role-playing side of it.
Dude, it's hard sometimes.
It can be. It definitely can be. And you have to be in that right mindset. Like we said kind of a little bit earlier, if you are with the wrong group who aren't in that right mindset, it makes it challenging.
But you know what, there's some different things that, especially where newer people, like, I was new to D&D when I started playing tabletop, pen and paper, but I kind of had that online background where I knew what I wanted to do and some of the things you could do.
Yep.
Something that I learned about semi-recently, because it wasn't something that I grew up knowing or even from the tabletop spot knew you could do. But you can do like one-shots.
Yes.
I think that is super fun.
Yeah.
Because all you have to do is dedicate maximum 8 hours a day.
Maybe.
To play through a one-day adventure with your friends in the D&D setting.
Yep.
And that's just it.
Yeah. And what's nice about those and the way that, a lot of people have started to really take on how D&D works is you don't have to start from level 1 every single time.
I was just going to say that. You could set your one-shot at level 10.
Right.
Level 5. You're getting multi-attacks on your fighter.
Sure.
Multiple spell slots on your wizard.
Right.
You can set it, and that's what's good about having people that have played it before, which the one-shot's even more fun, is your DM, if he knows what he's doing, can make it harder. And it gets really exciting. Like I said, it becomes that puzzle, but you only get one shot. It's like, we're going to sit down and we're going to try and finish this, or it's going to finish us.
It's going to finish us, yes.
That's what it is. Character's dead. Better make a new one for the next day. But it makes it easy to play. I know some of the, like we said, the good and the bad is sort of that time commitment.
Right.
Like the last campaign that I played in, I was playing in an online setting with the online tools that the DM had set up and created and used. But then we're working on 4 different people's schedules, trying to meet twice a month for hours at a time.
Yep.
And it was great. We played this campaign for probably 7 months, twice a week, every week, like as much time as we could. And it just got to be too big of a commitment, too much going on, where it sort of just fizzled out, which is a bummer. But like you said, you got to be in the right setting, in the right mind, and day after day after day. It can't always work.
Right. Right. No, I mean that's a good point because it's challenging. I think back to the first time I was playing D&D. Wasn't even actually D&D. It was some cyberpunk version of it.
Super cool.
Which was really cool. It was set, and it kind of looked like Blade Runner.
Even cooler.
That was kind of the setting and the feel is Blade Runner. And it was a guy at work who, big nerd, and got me into playing D&D. That was like my first time playing it. Like I said, not actually D&D, some other homebrew version that he'd come up with and whatever. And I made a character that had this big old sword, and it took 2 hands to be able to wield it because it was double bladed. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. But when I wasn't up in close combat wielding that, and it could like compress down into this small thing that I could hold on my back.
Very cyberpunk.
Very cyberpunk, right? When I wasn't wielding that, I had a sniper rifle.
Very cyberpunk.
So I had to learn what my role was within the role-playing game. I wasn't always going to be the one to charge in and attack.
Yeah, those are 2 very different things.
They are.
You're almost giving me like Ranger vibes,
That's my go-to. I'm just going to throw it out there.
That's my go-to.
I love a good ranger. I'm not the kind...
I was going to get into this next. I was going to ask you what your favorite class was.
Ranger.
And then kind of get into some class talk here.
Well...
From like sniper rifle, ranger, I was like, double-bladed... that's not very ranger. You need like 2 little blades.
2 little blades usually, yes. But I had this like really cool thing that like
Cyberpunk Ranger.
Exactly, exactly. So, I think I had like a small pistol for just in case,
Sure.
but I had the big double blade for if someone was like right up on me, I could take care of them as necessary. But yeah, I had a sniper rifle, and I remember whatever the setting was, we were infiltrating this gang's base, and he's like, okay, so how are we gonna set up? And like he had drawn up a map, and I'm like, I'm gonna go up in that hill. He said, wait, what? I said, I'm gonna go sit up in that hill and let them figure out what they're gonna do, and I'm gonna go get my sniper rifle ready, and I'm gonna sit there and wait. And he's like, okay, and it's because he
Yeah,
knew.
you can do whatever you want in a role playing game.
Exactly. You can do what you want. There's no real rules other than whatever the DM's going to enforce upon you.
Right.
And hopefully the DM's nice. Sometimes I'm not nice when I'm the DM. Sometimes I am. For those of you who are listening and I've ever been not nice to you while playing, I'm sorry. Maybe it was just a bad day. I don't know.
And as a player preference, I'm telling you to go do the fun thing you want to do when you're playing.
Absolutely.
I always try to go fishing. As funny as it sounds.
You gotta go fishing.
I'm like, oh, we're by water?
Can I fish?
Can I fish? And DM's like, the first time I ask, it's always the funniest reaction. They're like, what? What are you going to fish with? It's like, well, I got the spear. Like, I can try to spear these fish. He's like, all right. And it's this weird, fun interaction. It's kind of cool if you don't have someone in your party or you're maybe more experienced than other people you're playing with. It's like, kind of breaks the ice.
Yep.
It's like, I want to do something weird, something kind of fun that, that no one's really going to think about doing in a role-playing game.
Sure. So, that was kind of my first real experience, and I've played a couple different times. I've been the DM a couple different times, and I think the first time I was a DM was a few years after I'd initially played, because my friends were like, oh, we'd like to try D&D, but who's going to be our DM? And I'm sitting there going, I don't really want to do it, but I want to play D&D.
Like, I'll lay on the sword for the team.
But it was actually Pathfinder, not D&D. So I still hadn't even touched actual D&D yet. Because my first true experience with D&D, I'm going to get to in a second, was not a good experience with D&D. So we learned Pathfinder, which for those of you who don't know, Pathfinder is made by a different company than the one who makes D&D, but they use the D&D 3.5 edition as their core rule set, or at least did in their first version. For their second version, I'm sure they've modified some of the rules.
Right.
I've not really touched it since. But yeah, we picked up Pathfinder as our game, and it kind of made me go, okay, so this is what D&D is supposed to be like, and it kind of got me into that world a little bit more.
Like we said, it's another spin-off based off of the original game.
But it like I said, it used D&D's 3.5 edition because that one was opened to the masses to be able to do what they wanted with. For a while, Wizards of the Coast said, you guys can have 3.5. We're done with it. We're moving on to edition 4.
Yeah, baby. 4, 5, 5.5. It just keeps rolling.
It just keeps going. It's good stuff.
Not even talk about, like you're saying, spin-offs, Pathfinder, other companies, but all the homebrew stuff too. Like, you guys gotta go check this stuff out. I think some of it's getting built into the next version being released, but things like Artificer, that's not even in 5e. It's in the online version, and it's in the homebrew. Like, you can look up, it's so fun to play.
Yeah. And it's crazy because all it takes is someone's imagination. And to think where D&D came from. I know we talked about it being the fighting man, the magic user, and the cleric. Did you know that in the original versions of D&D, you had to straight roll your character?
That's terrifying.
And you know what that means when I say straight roll it, don't you? So,
oh, yeah.
For those who don't know, when you're creating your character, usually you get to do a lot of research. And anytime I've taught a person about D&D, I give them access to the book in whatever form, like, hey, go buy it. Hey, here's my copy. Maybe here's a PDF copy that I bought that you can borrow, whatever. And I tell them the only things you need to read are the pages for whatever classes sound good to you and whatever races sound good to you. Touch nothing else in the book yet. We're going to start simple. Because if you hand someone this 300-page book, they're going to look at you and go, I'm not reading that. Which is a great segue into, that's exactly what happened to me.
Ooh.
When I first...
Foreshadowing.
When I first wanted to play D&D, I was in the 9th grade. And I was talking to whatever kids in, I think, my robotics class. And I remember this one girl saying that her and her dad and her dad's friends played D&D. And I was like, I've heard of that. And I went home to my stepdad and I was like, D&D, you've talked about that. He's like, yeah, why? And I said, oh, well, person in the class wants to play or plays or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, do you want to learn? I said, yeah, that could be fun. So what did he do? He went to his closet and came back with a stack of 15, 20 different books for D&D. And I can't remember if it was version 3, 3.5, 4, what it was. I don't
All
even
of them.
remember. It was one version, and I have to imagine 3 based on kind of when it was.
Yeah.
And he said, here, read these and let me know when you're ready to, like, take it to the next step. And I went, nope. Nope, nope. Because it was all these different class books, all these different rule books. And I'm going,
Dude, it would blow me out of the water.
I said, nope, I'm not doing this. Never mind. I'm out. Washed my hands of it and didn't touch it until much, much later. But when you are creating a character, I give people the book and I say, pick a class or 2 classes, maybe 3 that you like. Read through them. You don't have to understand everything that's going on. Just read it. See what sounds cool. Same with a race. Pick 2, 3 different races. See which ones you like. Maybe you already have a concept in your head that you're going to be this gnome fighter who's going to wield this hammer that's twice as big as him. Good luck. Not saying you can't.
You can do whatever you set your mind to.
You sure
I
can.
played with a guy, he was the largest dwarf in the land, and he was a barbarian, hand-to-hand combat, grappling wrestler.
Interesting.
What a crazy concept.
That's a great concept. You know, you have your traditional ones of the elf ranger. That's what I usually go
Yeah.
for.
Drow sorcerer.
Drow sorcerer.
Human fighter.
Human fighter's a great choice, man. You got your orc barbarian, which I've done that before, and that was a great class.
Super. Smash.
Yeah.
Smash things hard.
I had a big axe, and I cut a monkey's ear off. It was fantastic.
Can't beat it.
It was wonderful.
Can't beat it. That's the little things at the end of the day.
But from there, back to the topic of the straight roll. Normally, you get to roll 4 d6s, and you keep 3 of the dice, and you pick which ones you want. And usually you're going to pick the highest 3 values.
Right.
And that goes into your pool of numbers. And you do that 6 times.
Since we haven't talked about it yet,
yeah.
getting into the specifics, your stats that Andrew's referring to are strength, dexterity, charisma, wisdom, and intelligence.
Yes. And so in modern versions, that pool of numbers that I mentioned of rolling the dice and you have all the different numbers, you get to choose how you want to assign them.
Right. So if you're a fighter and you get 3 6s,
Right.
I want 18 strength because
Absolutely.
I need to hit things harder.
Right.
Where if you're a mage, you don't really need strength, but you might want to put that in charisma or intelligence.
Absolutely. Depending on the type of magic you're going to be casting.
Correct.
Nope, not an original D&D or advanced D&D. It was, okay, here's my strength stat, roll 3 d6s and get a number.
Straight rolls, baby.
Oof, it's rough.
Terrifying.
It's rough. So you'd come in with this idea that you're going to be this huge, hulking barbarian and have a strength stat of like 5, a dexterity stat of 7, a wisdom stat of like 17.
Really smart.
Really
wise,
smart
I should
barbarian
say,
who
not
can't
smart.
pick up an axe.
Well, he can spot things really good, though.
That's a sword.
His spot is going to be really good if he has a 17 wisdom. Now, he might trip and fall because of his dex score on the way to pick up the item, but
Yes, that very well might happen. But I think about that and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's one of those things that we take for granted in D&D today that they probably just didn't really think much of at the time. But then they're like, oh, wait, hang on, let's fix it. Time out. Here's a version 2 of the game.
right, which is great that it has adapted and evolved in the way that it did to make it a better experience for the player, easier to enjoy, to get started in, I feel like.
Oh, yes. And I think something that's really nice about D&D is not only is there the levels of customization that you could do for it, the freedom that you have as the person playing, and, you know, since it is of the mind more than anything. Yes, we have all sorts of online tools that can help restrain some things, but there are so many different ways to play just D&D. You could be in a game where you have to account for every single thing in your pack and make sure that the weights are accurate and that you don't get over encumbered, like a lot of video games, like Skyrim. Oh, you hit your max capacity of weight. Now you have to walk everywhere.
But at least they do the math for you.
They do the math for you. But some DMs and some players like that, like...
Right, the constraints.
Exactly.
Right, they want to play on tactician, on expert.
Exactly. That's what they're looking for. They need that board laid out exactly correct so they can see where every single goblin is on there. And they're sitting there with their tape measure and all these different styluses and everything that they need to be able to go, okay, if I cast a fireball, it's going to hit this area versus cone of fire can hit this area. And that person's in trouble over there. And they're trying to figure out what's the best strategy for them. And then you have people like the McElroy brothers. If you've never listened to their podcast of The Adventure Zone, I 10,000% recommend it. It was recommended to me, and I was like, oh, heck yes, let's go. Because it's the guys from My Brother, and Me, their podcast that they did, and they said, hey, let's play D&D. And so I think one, maybe two of them had played D&D at some point. Well, there being three brothers, and one being the DM, you only have two players. That's not great for parties.
True. Small party.
It's a small party. Add one more player, and you got a pretty good sized party.
Now you're kind of jiving.
Right. So you know who they brought in?
Their dad.
Their dad.
Oh, yeah. The whole crew.
Oh, my God. He is the funniest part of the whole thing. He's never played D&D, but he's been
That's so fun.
He's been a radio talk show host for years and years. And, you know, obviously his son's picked up on some of that if they're going to be podcasters like they've been for years and years. And so they set out on this quest, and their first adventure was them playing the basic adventurer's guide of D&D. Here there be goblins, right?
True. Very basic.
Very basic adventure.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
What's your favorite adventure?
Okay, so
It could be from the books, could be some brew that you played, might not even be D&D, but in the sense of role-playing fantasy games.
I really, really, really someday want to find the right group of people and play through Pathfinder's Rise of the Rune Lords. Because I've got it, and I want to know how that story concludes.
Yeah.
And I'd honestly love to be the player in it. I would just have to play dumb for like the first chapter-ish, because I've run the first chapter a couple different times, so I know enough about it.
Sure.
I could be the background support character for a little bit, and I would play it as a person, not trying to like force it, like, oh, I know there's a goblin behind the corner here. You know, try to not be the lead
Right,
person.
you don't want to ruin the fun.
Right, and
Cool.
I would love to be a part of that whole story just because I've done it a couple times. But I just that's the one I like, and I think about anytime I'm thinking about D&D. It's like, how does that story go? And I have the book. I could just sit there and read it.
I can see the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could
You
just
got me
sit and read it.
convinced. I'll come over and play with you. My favorite, and this is one that you can just go buy it, pick it up, play it. It's from Dungeons and Dragons. It's Ravenloft. Strahd.
Yep. Okay.
It's the Strahd Dungeons and Dragons experience. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
So there's my recommendation. Before we get back to your podcast,
Yes.
comment about other D&D podcasts. I'm going to plug two more that I like to listen to.
Go for it.
Dungeons and Daddies.
I've heard of that one.
Great. And then I think the one that everyone should listen to, if you're experienced, not experienced, Critical Role.
Oh, fantastic one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of
Like the corners,
epitome.
the keystone.
Yes, that is the epitome of D&D podcast. 100%. What Matt Mercer has done with that channel, with those guys, and it's so enjoyable because it's like the perfect level of the players are the ones who have a lot of good interaction.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're all voice actors, so they know how to be in character, but they still have the core rules of D&D very well in there.
Yep. It's like we were saying, the party makes the experience.
Absolutely.
And they are a fantastic party to watch. They play the stories out great. It's everything you'd want in Dungeons & Dragons. So.
And it has a more digestible version if you don't want to listen to the 100 episodes each at 4 hours.
Yeah, maybe not for everyone, but...
But they have the TV show,
Yep.
The Legend of Vox Machina, which is their playthrough animated on Amazon, and it's wonderful.
They also have, I believe, YouTube episodes
They do.
where you can watch them play.
You can, and it's fun to sit there and watch them just because you
It's
get
very
to see
fun.
their reactions.
In the background, I like watching their TikToks
Yep.
and Instagram clips. They make me laugh as a D&D enjoyer.
Well, if anyone from Critical Role is listening to this, you should come hang out with us sometime and let us play in a game of D&D with you. That would be awesome. But back to the McElroy brothers with theirs. It started as just a simple, hey, let's have fun, let's try this, let's go on this basic adventure. And very quickly, it became something completely different. They were able to completely come up with their own story, and they played through D&D, and they had this fantastic story, which, again, I recommend the podcast, but if you don't want to listen to the whole podcast, they've turned them into comic books.
That is so cool. I didn't know that.
Those are fantastic. If you want to borrow them, I've got them. They're really, really good. And it's just fun how interactive of a story they've got it. And they kind of do D&D light. You know, they come into situations and they're not like, okay, I'm 15 feet from this guy or whatever. They're just kind of having fun off the cuff of what they're doing. Still rolling, you know, and still using whatever resources they need to be able to maintain and manage the game, but it's not super detailed.
Right.
So it's just so awesome to me, the range that you can get out of D&D and all the different ways you can enjoy the game.
Yeah, it's really, it can be built for anyone.
It really can.
It's not just that nerdy, culty thing that they used to be thought as.
I mean, it's still a nerdy thing. It's just not culty like everyone thinks.
I mean, it could be culty depending on your character. I know warlocks are kind of culty.
That's true.
But they,
That's true.
sell their soul and things to their pact. But another super cool class to play, by the way.
So Ranger, you said, was your favorite.
Oh, yeah.
What's your least favorite class you've played?
Least favorite class that I've played has to be Cleric. Cleric. I'm sorry for all the cleric hate lovers. I'm a hater. I'm not a healer. And I know you're like, oh, but you don't have to play a healer. You can play like Death Domain. You can do damage spells. No, that's not how you play cleric. You're a healer. If you want to do damage, play a damage character. It's my opinion.
That's fair. I mean,
it's not for me.
I can see where you're coming from, because I would agree. A cleric is one of those, yeah, you can do damage, but that's not your role.
It's not right.
No.
But paladins can heal.
Paladins can heal.
You also get to smite things, which is super cool.
That's super cool.
So,
assuming there's something smiteable.
Right.
Most things are.
You can always smite your party members.
That's not a good thing. Then you're not a good paladin anymore.
Well, it depends. You might be a broken oath.
You could be.
How about that?
You could be.
Now, there's something for everyone.
If your party members are breaking the law and evil,
smite them.
Smite them.
I'm bound by my oath for justice. It's like your peacemaker.
Exactly.
I have to. No, I enjoy a lot of the classes a lot, though.
Yeah.
Range for Ranger, fantastic. Super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Fighter is just so versatile.
Yep.
But I'm not the biggest hand-to-hand combat person. If I'm going to do something melee, I do really enjoy Paladin or Monk.
Monks. Yes.
Monk is super fun, especially
yes.
if you're playing some later campaigns. Maybe we can start a little bit higher level, and you can play, your Way of the Shadow Monk. Mm-hmm. Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite melee. And then I'm just a good spellcaster enjoyer.
Are you?
Give me a sorcerer. Give me the warlock action, man. Like,
it's cool. It's not
so
for me.
Cool.
It's. I'm not gonna say it's too much to manage, but there are just so many different options, and
yeah.
And that's great, because then it gives you the freedom to be able to do what you want with the character. But for me, I would much rather swing a sword, shoot a bow, whatever it is.
It is straightforward.
Yes.
And there's a lot of enjoyability and ease.
Right. And even then, I don't want my character to be the dumb fighter. I want them to have intelligence. I want them to be someone who can help make decisions or save the party in some other way.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be the magic user. That's just me.
It's fair. There's a lot of pressure. You've low HP. You might not be close to the action of fights, so you're not going to be able to save your party members very easily.
And that's okay. That's an important role. But that's just
it's not for you.
That's not my personality.
You don't look like a magic user.
I'm not. And what's crazy about that, my all-time favorite class is one I've never been able to play. It goes back to Pathfinder. I'll show you a picture of the one that I want. I want to play an arcane archer, which is someone who starts off in either fighting or ranger. Gets really good at the bow.
You want to know something super cool?
Yes.
If you play D&D online, the online game,
Mm-hmm.
you can just play an arcane archer.
It's true. And from what I remember, Baldur's Gate 3 now has their version of the arcane archer. And I'm kind of tempted to have to play.
You can also
Baldur's
play
Gate.
modded Baldur's Gate 3, which has a whole different slew of classes and options.
Wow.
So we might have to do a campaign. As long as we're not doing a Dark Urge campaign.
That's fine. That's fine. But that's the one class I've always
Arcane
liked.
Archer.
Even though
very cool.
I don't want to have to manage the spells, it's the fact that I could make this arrow be fire, this one be ice, sleep. This one could go through walls and find its target, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That part of it is exciting and cool to me.
It is very exciting. And it's very arcane.
Yes.
Very D&D, but with all the fun aspects of the ranged bit that you enjoy and more of those aspects. Like, yeah, you want to have a high intelligence because you're arcane.
Right.
But you need that dex because
gotta have that dex.
Rangers gotta have that dex.
Gotta shoot that bow.
For real.
Exactly. So that's kind of, my pipe dream. And part of the reason I'm like, I just want to play some more Pathfinder with someone and me be able to be a fighter who's got a bow and then is working his way up to being able to be an arcane archer at some point by the end of the campaign.
But it's cool because there's a class for everyone.
Everyone
who wants to enjoy things. Like,
you want to be the chaos guy who just throws bombs? You've got one.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. Do you want to be a druid that just turns into a frog because you really like frogs? Done.
Go for it.
Yeah, you can be a poison dart frog.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And that's something that I think speaks to a lot of people is you can truly be whatever you want in D&D. And again, not just Dungeons and Dragons itself, but in all of the different versions of it. You can go into this game and kind of lose yourself in the type of character you want to become. And I think that's just such a fascinating and awesome part of it because there are so many different people out there who want so many different things, but we can all come together around D&D and be whoever we want to be for that short hour, 2 hours, 8 hours.
Yep, it definitely attracts a lot of different people, and someone like you and me, we classify ourselves as the nerds. It's easier.
I'm the king of the nerds.
Sorry, king of the nerds, and me, the nerd. We're enjoyers already, so we appreciate it maybe a little bit easier. But that escapement, the creativity aspect of it, like you said, it can draw a lot of different people in.
Absolutely, and like we've talked about today, books, comics, podcasts,
bard songs,
board games, movies, TV shows. Even if you know of the D&D cartoon from the 80s, I want to say.
I am not familiar.
You are not.
Again, this is the Gen Z in me.
That's okay.
Apologies to all of the older listeners. I think you're not boomers. I think you're great. No hate from the young ones. I don't eat Tide Pods. I'm on like the older side of that generation. So
here's a fun fact that we're going to kind of come towards an end with. You liked the Honor Among Thieves movie, okay? I've mentioned this D&D cartoon that existed. That cartoon cast makes a cameo in the Honor Among Thieves movie.
I love a cameo.
Okay? And it's the cast of the kids.
That's very creative. Very fun.
It's wonderful because it's when they're in the city and it's the maze that's going up, that other party off to the side of like 5 kids. That's the D&D cartoon cast that's been brought into this movie. Because the whole idea was that these kids get sucked into the real world, quote unquote, of D&D.
Yeah.
And now they are their characters. Well, those characters have been brought into this Neverwinter festival and are fighting for their survival. And it's just like, oh, hey!
Wait a minute.
I know those characters.
Yeah, who are you?
Hey! Yeah, I mean, they don't say anything, but you look at them and you're like, I know exactly who that is. And it's just, it's really cool. It's really cool. One last question. Where do you see D&D going from here?
Ooh. See, I think it's really... I can go so many places. Like, we've discussed a lot over the past hour or so. You have... Even now, modern day spin-offs, Baldur's Gate, even though it's a series.
Yep.
You've got movies, you've got other games and items coming out.
Right.
I think and I hope that it's just going to keep staying alive.
Yeah.
Because it does stem from the 70s. It's old.
It is.
It's a little old.
Yeah.
but because of all these adaptations, these different things, it's stayed relevant, and I just hope that it continues to stay relevant because I'm an enjoyer, pen, paper, online, spin-off games, movies.
Oh yeah.
It's something that I enjoy, so I just hope that it stays around. I don't think it's really gonna get bigger.
Nope.
But it's gonna be present. That's my big ask.
I mean, it's got a foothold in pop culture for sure. We've talked about all these different things. One thing we forgot to mention, it is in Magic the Gathering, which I would argue it somewhat helped to create.
Oh, I was gonna not talk about Magic the Gathering because once you open Pandora's box, catch me next time on Andrew's podcast talking about Magic the Gathering.
We'll definitely have to have you back for an episode on Magic. But the characters of D&D have made their way into Magic the Gathering.
Oh yeah, the whole set into Magic the Gathering.
Exactly.
Hey, that's that Wizards of the Coast crossover right there.
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah,
but like
Magic
I said,
Gathering,
I wouldn't be surprised if
Dragons, Lord of the Rings, like it's all getting twined together. All these nerdy topics are gonna like explode.
Oh, SpongeBob's now a part of all of it.
Well, we can leave that out.
All right, so you think it's here to stay? I kind of agree. I'm excited to see where they go with it. I hope they do another D&D movie.
I would really enjoy another movie.
You know what I want more than another D&D movie per se of that group? I need a Drizzt Do'Urden TV show.
Oh.
If you know who that is, and if you don't, I got you. I've got books on you. It's something that we could talk an entire podcast on just this one character.
Sure.
But the author, R.A. Salvatore, I believe I'm saying that correctly, he wrote a book called The Crystal Shard, which is just a high fantasy book set in the Forgotten Realms of D&D, which was its own world that someone else had created of D&D. He just kind of set it in that world. He has a dark elf named Drizzt who has escaped from the underworld and has come up and now lives in the mountains near a bunch of dwarves who tolerate him. And the dwarves and some barbarians go to war against each other because the barbarians think they're going to come down and take the lands from the north to the south and claim some of these mountains, and then the dwarves fight them off. But one barbarian youngling gets left, and when I say youngling, this kid's like 14, 15, maybe 16 years old.
Still young,
but he's of course a mountain of a person compared to these
he's
dwarves.
still a barbarian. All right, that's he's not your 14-year-olds nowadays.
Right, no, absolutely not. But he gets kind of captured as like a prisoner of war sort of thing and works with the dwarves. And there's an unlikely kind of friendship that forms between the three of them. And they go out on a quest to stop a mad wizard who's going to use a crystal shard to try and take over the realm. And that's the start of something like 40-book series of Drizzt's story.
And you want that to be...
I need that in a TV show.
Sold.
So, see?
Hey man, look at Game of Thrones.
Right.
Talk about like a fantasy
series.
Exactly.
And what would make it perfect, in my opinion, is you start with the Crystal Shard, and you interlace things from the books that happened before it that were technically written after. So he wrote books, what are now considered books 4, 5, and 6.
Right. The whole sequel, prequel, wrote after, happens before.
But it was its own trilogy at the time. It was just Crystal Shard, blah, blah. Cool. And then he released the other stuff that was, how did Drizzt get to be at that point? And there was a trilogy of books there, which then they cemented as, okay, that's books 1, 2, 3. Crystal Shard became book 4, 5, 6, and then the story just continues on from there. Maybe with those cast of characters, maybe with different characters, but always around Drizzt and what he's doing in the world of the Forgotten Realms. And you can actually find him in one of the older D&D games, too. So in, I think it's Baldur's Gate 2,
yep,
he's just a little bitty character that you can go and find, and you can try fighting him, but it's not advised because he's like really hard to kill. But that's what I need a series on, and I think that would be fantastic. And they've talked about it for years,
right?
Because of how much source material there is, and you could do pretty well anything with it. That's what I need D&D to do.
You need it to keep being prevalent, keep growing with the spin-offs, with the impact on other venues.
Exactly. Well, Matthew, it's been a wonderful sitting here talking with you about D&D today. Aww. Any last thoughts you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I just say give it a shot. if you've listened to this whole thing all the way through, never tried it, never played it, go look up your local game store. I guarantee they've got a D&D night, or you could
Absolutely.
find some sort of introductory group, somewhere to play, somewhere to give it a shot. You know
Sure.
what? If you hate it, but you might find that really great group. You might find that good DM,
Yeah.
and it could be a hobby. It could be something like it's grown for me. I've enjoyed for years and years and years.
Yeah. My final thought I'm going to leave you with, and I agree with what you said. There was a story I saw on Reddit some years ago of a competition for a new adventure that was out. And it was like different pods of people all playing the same adventure to see who could kill the dragon and like take him down and whatever. And there was a pod of children, like 13 and under, all playing, with
Yeah.
one kid being the DM for all of it. And a judge, so to speak, was walking around, someone, 20 to 40-year-old judge walking around, and he happened upon this table and was watching it and noticed that the emotions and everything going on there was a lot more exciting than most of the rest of the tables. Now you could say, oh, it's because they were kids. Obviously, they're going to have more fun.
Right.
But what he paid attention to is that the DM kid wasn't quote unquote following the rules. He wasn't strictly lining it out the way that it needed to be. And he let the party kill the dragon earlier than they should have. And he asked him about it later. He said, why did you do that? The dragon's got 100 health and you let them kill it at like 65 health in. What was the point? And the reason I bring this story up is because of what the kid said, which was so impactful for the person who shared the story. The kid realized when it wasn't fun anymore. And he was trying to keep it fun for the people playing.
That's so good.
He wanted them to enjoy the story. Why have them sit there and spend the next 30 minutes hacking at a dragon that might kill them if they're not having fun? Just because you get to be the super powerful person who says, ha ha ha, you lost to my dragon. He just wanted it to be about fun. And I honestly believe that's what D&D is supposed to be.
Couldn't agree with you more.
So-
and some people are going to disagree.
Some
They'll be
people
like,
will
nope,
disagree.
you need to do X, Y, Z. But at the end of the day, that's why I see it. It's entertainment.
Exactly.
Do what you think is fun. Pick
Exactly.
your fun class. Pick a fun race.
Right.
Get a fun group of friends.
Yep.
And enjoy the experience.
Exactly. Well, Matthew, thank you again for coming to hang out with us today. This has been us talking about D&D, and I hope all of you go out there and try it. This is Andrew from Two Nerds vs. the Internet. Have a wonderful day.